Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Last time around we sprayed Badger Primer. Now we are going to go ahead and do some weathering techniques. I'm going to focus on three most common type of weathering techniques for model airplanes. These are for model airplanes. Tank modelers, you guys have different types that are different than model airplane guys. But some of the skills might transfer over. Um, so the one that I'm going to focus on first, or showcase first, is basically from the Spanish school of modeling, and it's highlighted by guys like Miguel Jimenez and other wonderful modelers from Spain who are doing some amazing stuff with model airplane painting and weathering and all of that. So what I'm doing is I'm just testing out some paint. I'm just using a random paint color. That's not important. What's important is you spray the paint onto the model. You do not do pre-shading. You don't do any of that stuff. In this particular method, what you're doing is you're laying the paint down first, and then you're doing all of the weathering on top of it. And a key thing that I want you to understand here is this is the base level of weathering. What I mean by that is this is weathering you have to do in all three of these examples I'm going to use to get to a point where you can put on gloss coat and decals and further weather if you choose to. But this is the minimum that most modelers do just to get to that level. So the weathering doesn't stop here, but this is the base to get to that level. And then you can decide, do you want to weather more? Do you want to use washes? Do you want to do, uh, you know, um, oil paints? Do you want to, etc.? Do you want to use pigments? Whatever it might be to further weather your model here. So you notice I put on the base coat. The next step is to do highlights, and this is what makes this particular style a little bit different. So you're putting on your paint, and you're putting in some highlights, and the highlights really are a personal choice. Like how highlighted do you want that area to be? So here I'm mixing up some paint. I'm going to test it out. And always add in some thinner when you add in some paint. You want to maintain that thinner to paint ratio. And here it was about 50-50, so I'm trying to maintain the same ratio here. Always test your mixture on a scrap piece of model or paper or whatever it might be. So here I tested it out and it wasn't highlighted enough for me. I wanted to make it a little bit more, add in some more white and make it a little bit lighter color shade. So I'm going to mix it back up, and I'm just using a toothpick just because I don't want the bubbles to blow everywhere and ruin and end up on my model. Normally I back flush, and I did back flush a little bit, but this is just, it was easier. But here we go. So there we go. That's kind of like the highlight that I want. So what I'm doing with the highlight is I'm picking out panels here, and hopefully you can see the highlight coming in. You can see the lightened areas here. And then particular access panels, smaller ones, I'm really focusing on those, and hopefully you can see that better. But just adding in highlights in randomly throughout those open spaces. Just don't want to go too heavy. Well, actually, that's up to you. So if you can go really heavy if you really want to weather your airplane. If you want to make it look really faded, you can. I typically don't go for that, so that's just my personal choice. And I left the other side white because I'm going to demonstrate with another color. For all of these particular weathering techniques, these three that I'm going to highlight for you guys, I'm going to do two colors to see you, so you can see what it looks like. And here you can add. What I did was I sprayed from front to back uh, the highlight mixture to blend everything in a little bit. Sometimes if you feel like there's just too much highlighting and it looks spotchy or something, you can blend it in with just some nice thin front to back. Always remember with an airplane, front to back kind of motion, and you can get it going. Okay, so yeah, hopefully you can see that it's starting to look really nice, starting to look faded, worn out. Uh, real. I don't think the camera captures it. Again, I don't have a good camera, so I was gonna airbrush the second color and do the highlights. Unfortunately, my camera ran out of power and I was not able to record. But basically, same principle. And what I'm doing here is what's the next step of this. That is adding in um, post shading. And what I've done here is I've taken a black, couple drops of black. I think it was four, somewhere around there, and about I want to say 10 to 12 drops of thinner. Um, and I kind of went in heavy a little bit on the panel line. And what you're doing is you're going to highlight the panel lines here and post shade the panel lines to make them look darker, dirtier, and get that weathering effect on it. Um, Now, I know Mig Jimenez has come out with ammo shaders. I haven't tried those out. I'm really curious to try that out. Oh, sorry about the camera angles here. Again, sorry guys, I'm still fairly new to this. So another area where I missed it is if you noticed, I really went in heavy. Well, if you do go in heavy with this, what you can do is you can take a brush with dampen with some thinners and just kind of wipe away some of the excess. As long as it's damp, it's not fully wet, it won't damage your paint work. And I went back and I thinned the mixture even more because it was a little grainy for my taste. I didn't like it. I wanted a much smoother one. And the air pressure is really low here. Okay, so keep that in mind. The air pressure is only about 10 psi right now. I'm going around and I'm choosing the panel lines. And if, as you can see on the lighter color, I already did that, and you can work this effect up. Again, sorry guys about the camera angle here, but you can work this effect up. So you can dictate or decide. I mean, how in depth you want to go, and how dirty or how much you want those panel lines to pop out here. So in this case, I'm going in pretty heavy on the darker color. And by the way, when you're using for darker colors, black is great. For the lighter colors, black is not the best. You probably want to use a more of a grayish color. I just did it again for highlighting purposes to show in the video. It just shows through better. But you can see right there, I went a little bit past the thing, but I'm going to go in with another damp brush and just kind of wipe it clean, and it's going to blend in really nicely. And you're going to see at the end of this video, the effect is really nice. It's a beautiful, dirty effect. I think in particular for um, modern jets, or actually for modern jets, grays, it's going to look really nice. Lots of the gray camo type of stuff. And for World War II stuff, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the Mig Jimenez and the other Spanish modelers, they really use a lot of this particular method for World War II stuff because you can really dirty up an airplane. So here it is. I wiped some of the areas clean where I oversprayed, and you can see it just leaves a beautiful finish right there. Even the dark on the light gray and that light color there, it looks really gorgeous. So again, this is the base, and now you can go from here and dirty it up even more once you put on your gloss. You can go and add in a wash if you want to dirty it up more. You can add in oil paints and lighten the paint even more. You can add in pigment, but this is the base level to get to further modeling. But this is one of the techniques that I wanted to highlight for you guys. Hopefully you like it. If you have any questions, please let me know.